Hello, people, and welcome to RockerMike and Rob Present. Another show during the quarantine that we interview rock legend Joey Pinter. We have a very special interview. I hope you guys enjoy and listen. And remember, don't get drunk, get lumped up. So far,
Yeah,
so good.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
so far, yeah, pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing technology, right?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, we're on a three-way call on a special
I always
Rock
like
and
those
Mike and
three
Rob
ways.
Presents.
Yeah,
I, I I've been on a couple of those three ways before. They're
yeah.
pretty
Three,
interesting.
three, three ways are always good.
Yeah. And then unfortunately, you wake up the next day. It's like, oh my God,
Yeah,
where
you're
the
like,
hell am I?
you're like, who are these two beasts?
Who are these people? One of them is on my arm. I gotta chew it off like a Wolverine in a trap.
All right, so Rob.
Yeah, what's up, man?
Okay, this is the Rocker Mike and Rob Presents show today, right?
Yep.
And we're gonna bring you everybody, the famous, or should I say, infamous Joey Pinter.
Yeah, okay.
Joey is an old school punk rock guy from New York City. He's been around since the beginning. Okay, the beginning of the '70s scene in the city here. You were a big Max's guy, right, Joey?
Yeah, man, I was there a lot.
Yeah.
Even before upstairs was opened up for ordinary bands, we would go downstairs to the back room and hang out and watch people hold court. You know,
Did you go
we came
there?
in. We
Did
came
you
in
go
right
there?
after Andy Warhol and all those guys.
Yeah, it's where Warhol was hanging out, the
Yeah,
Dolls, right? Lou Reed,
right.
all that stuff. Did
I
you
was
go there
right
for the
after
chick?
that.
Did you go there for the chickpeas?
Of course,
Yeah.
and the salads. What we would do is we had no money, so we
Yeah.
we would get at a table, get a great big salad, and nurse the salad. Like four of us, and and as long as you were sort of behaving yourself, they left you alone. So it was cool.
That's cool. That's cool. I mean,
Yeah.
I heard stories from guys that hung out that at some point there was usually a chickpea food fight.
Occasionally, I've heard of that. Yeah, but I didn't involve myself in that stuff because I was trying not to get kicked out so early.
There
I
you
was,
go. There you go.
I was
You have to stick around and see the band, for God's sake.
Yeah, I was 18 or something like that, and I was still young enough to be nervous. So
Okay, now, just to I'll give a little background here for people who don't know who Joey is. Joey was in a band called the Knots in the '70s that played Max's a lot. Also in the Waldos, okay, for a long time, and that's how I became acquainted with you. And you've been doing some solo stuff the last few years, and you're working on some new material.
yeah,
And we're going to get into all that. But let's go back a little bit before Max's, and talk about, some of your early days. Now, you told me you were born in Brooklyn, right?
yeah, East New York, all
East
family.
New York. All
Yeah,
right. And, you lived in Queens for a while. You bounced around a lot.
yeah.
When did you find that, music was your calling?
I always wanted to play. I don't remember a time not wanting to. Even as a little child, I remember having, really wanting a guitar and wanting to play. Even, when I was 10, 11 years old. And
Really?
it was really, I don't know what it was, man. It was just something I needed to do and nothing else.
What were you kind of, at 10 years old, who were you looking at as kind of a hero that played guitar?
Oh, well, the Monkees were on TV in those days. And you were real limited because I was 10 years old, so I wasn't going anywhere. And so we had television, the 3 channels on television. So there were the Monkees, and then there was what other, like American Bandstand, which was like occasionally someone would come on, it'd be interesting. But it was mostly me sitting next to the AM radio and and listening to everything. I really liked the old soul music, because there was something about that just like rang true with me. I don't know what it was, and maybe because my father hated it. He would, he would turn that shit off. But but then that was in AM radio, and then I just was glued to it, and I got a guitar. It was like some Japanese guitar with like 6 pickups on it and 10 switches. Right. I don't know what the hell it was. And then I came home from school one day and found out my father hocked it. So,
oh my God,
that sucked. That sucked too, because I was gonna. There was a guy in school with me that he had one of a Dan Electro with the case. Where the amp is in the case, where he got it from Sears. And wait a minute. Sorry, I thought I turned that off.
It's okay.
To me, it was the coolest thing in the world. So he said, well, come by my house and I'll show you some things. And I said, oh, yeah. I go home and the guitar is gone. I said, you motherfucker, you.
Wow.
Very embarrassing.
Dan Electros. A lot of people in that time had Dan Electros, right? A lot of
you used to get them from Sears and a catalog. And they had this model or a couple of models where the amp was in the case. It was all like one unit. It was so cool. I still want one.
Definitely.
They were so cool. And I think they were made out of masonite, which is like a cardboard building material.
Right. It's like a press board type thing.
Yeah. In fact, the room I'm in right now has it on the wall where, it's got those holes punched in it so you can hang shit on it.
Yeah. That's masonite. Yeah.
Yeah. So, builders used to use it for underlayment on floors, but it didn't deal well with water. So people stopped using it really for anything other than something temporary. So that's what they were made out of. It's pretty cool.
When you started playing the Dan Electro, what were you doing? Were you teaching yourself, or were you getting lessons?
No. I had to teach myself. I couldn't get lessons. I remember lessons in 1968 or 67.
Yeah.
Were like $3 an hour, and that was out of
a lot of money then. That was a lot of money.
Out of the question. I had 5 brothers and sisters, and that was not going to happen. So I had to teach myself.
Were you a big Stones fan, or were you more of a Beatles fan? What did you?
No, I like the Stones a lot more
me too.
than the Beatles. The Beatles were. I didn't like all that weird singing, that 4-part harmony, and I didn't like Obla Da. Get the fuck out of here.
Like that. No, I know.
Are you kidding me?
We did a show yesterday, Joey, right? I mentioned it to you. Me and Rob did a show yesterday on the George Harrison album, All Things Must Pass.
Right.
And what I found so interesting about it, and Rob, you agreed, is that he had all that music by 1970 to make a triple fucking album.
A triple album. Yeah.
Right. And some of those songs, every one of those songs on that album could have been a Beatles song, and it would have been better than hearing Obla Di, Obla Da.
Not better.
Maxwell's Silver Hammer.
Friends or some fucking song like that.
Yeah. I mean, he was. The record companies must have been, dying to get a hold of that guy in 1970.
I mean, and the interesting thing is he was just a nervous wreck. He thought that the songs weren't even up to par.
Oh,
and then after it was all done, and Spector ran it through his wall of sound mix and added everything to it.
Right.
Apple Records was like, "This is phenomenal," and then he believed it, and he put it out. But
of course.
Anyway, so you were more of a Stones fan. So at that point in the late '60s, you were listening to like Let It Bleed, right?
Right. What the first Stones first album I really listened to was Sticky Fingers. That was the first one that it was. I was in Queens, had to be 69, 1970, and WNEW-FM was the radio station. And what they would do is play a whole album that would be released. And
they do the whole thing, both sides,
or just whole record, no commercials, nothing. They play it right through. Yeah, it was great, man. And that was the first one that I really listened to, because before that you just heard the singles on the radio, like 19 Nerve Breakdown and Painted Black, which was, I heard Painted Black, I was like, what is that? That's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that?
You know, the guitar, I mean, the guitar sound, the way Jones used the sitar and everything on it.
Yeah. And then you see them on the Ed Sullivan Show. And
Jones is sitting there cross-legged, right?
Yeah, I'm going, who are these guys? This is fucking amazing. So it wasn't until Sticky Fingers and FM radio where, and things sounded better because it was FM, it was stereo. So things just sounded better.
Yeah, and they were, FM at the time was, free form. It was experimental. They would do albums, like you said, album sides or whole albums.
Right.
And you'd hear stuff that you wouldn't hear on AM. That's how FM got started, really.
No, that's what it was. Yeah. Right. You wouldn't hear it. And then at night, it was even better because NEWFM had this chick. Her name was Allison Steele.
Alice the Nightbird.
Yep. Yeah, she'd be on from like 10 to 2 or something in the morning.
Yeah.
And she would play whole sides of records. And, it's freaking great. I mean, it was, you don't hear that anymore, but
she had that,
it's just great.
She passed away, but she used to have that, like,
she used
to have that sexy, dreamy voice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When you were 16, 17 years old. Holy
wow.
Yeah. Wow. You don't know what that feeling is, but you like it.
Yeah. Wait, is that a microphone in my pocket, or am I just glad to see somebody?
Yeah, what is that? It's like the first time I saw Tina Turner on TV. I was like, what? I don't know what is happening here, but I really like it.
Speaking of her, I know you know the Gimme Shelter movie, Joey. Okay.
Of course, yeah.
How about the Tina Turner scene in that movie?
Oh, man.
When she's singing the Otis Redding song, and she's just she's singing it, she's got her hands on the mic, and she's stroking the mic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, come on. Don't even get me going here, This is going to get turned off. What would I have to charge? You're going to charge me for this now? $5 a minute?
All right. We're getting off topic here. Anyway, so, you're teaching yourself guitar. Now, when did you did you have any bands in high school or anything, or what did you do?
No,
What's
because
the
after
first
that,
band you got together? What's the first band you played?
All right, I would answer ads in the Village Voice, and go to meet people, and nothing was happening. I really, I didn't. I was just hanging out with guys in high school who were listening to, Layla and American bands and that looked like hippies. And I was trying to figure this stuff out. And then what happened was a neighbor came by with an album, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust.
There you go.
And it changed.
Great album.
Changed my life. It was like, first of all, I looked at the cover and I was like, what is that? And then when I listened to it, it was nothing like the Allman Brothers. It was nothing like that. No Quicksilver, Messenger Service. It was like, what is this? This is amazing.
It was from Mars. Actually, it dropped from Mars, that album. It really did.
Yeah, and it changed my life. I said the whole direction of music for me changed.
Sure.
I stopped hanging out with these characters that I knew, and one guy I knew took me to the East Village one day, and I remember coming out of the subway at Union Square, not Union Square. Union Square.
Yeah.
Cooper Square, where the Cube is.
Oh, like Astor Place.
Right. I would come out of the Astor Place. Yeah. Right. I came out of the subway, and this is 1970, and the air smelled like food, like weird food.
Yeah.
There was music everywhere. The people looked totally different from people in Bayside.
Sure.
And I thought like a subway token took me here.
Mm-hmm.
And I had no idea how that area, that corner, would be so important in my future life.
Yeah.
You know, I lived there for years and
Yep.
grew up there, really. I mean, because once I got exposed to that, that was it. So what happened was I answered this ad for a band in Brooklyn and Bensonhurst or someplace. So I take the subway out to Bensonhurst, and I had a white Stratocaster that I couldn't hardly play. So these guys were playing Dolls covers. They were playing Stones covers. So I'm playing with these guys, and I'm trying my best. And they say, "Well, you want a beer?" I said, "Yeah, I want a beer." And they opened up the refrigerator. It was full of beer. There was nothing in it but beer.
Nice.
I said, "Well, this is a good sign." Yeah. So they said, "Well, we're going to have a little meeting." And they left, and they came back 15 minutes later, and they said, "What's more important, your girlfriend or the band?" And I said, "Of course, the band." And they said, "Okay, you can sleep over there."
Oh.
And that was it. Yeah. The guy drove me back to Bayside. I grabbed all the shit out of my bedroom that I shared with my brother. And that was it. Never went back.
And you were living over there.
And I joined this band. We were called Brooklyn Trash. And that's when we started going to Max's at night and hanging out downstairs, wasting time, watching people, you know, seeing who was who.
Yep.
Yeah. And then we would go back to this guy's house, and we rehearsed in his basement. And, you know, one thing led to another. The band broke up. I ended up in Florida with a couple of these guys. And then from there, I ended up back in New York. And then I met Nikki Fuse, a million years ago, man. And from then on, I started playing original music because it was, you know, it's easier for me to write songs than learn songs from the record. I was never good at that. I couldn't, like, I knew cats that could listen to something once and then play it. I never could do that. So I still can't. So I found it easier.
You start from scratch, kind of. You got to make your own song.
Yeah. I figured it was just easier for me to write, you know, chord progressions and things like that sounded cool.
Right.
So that's how we started playing original music. And that was around that same time CBGBs opened up.
Yeah.
And the only requirement for CBGBs was you had to play original music. That was it.
That was always the deal. He didn't want cover bands.
Right. He could do anything you want as long as it was original. And back in those days, in fact, I saw a flyer someone posted the other day on the internet from CBG. 3 nights a week, 2 sets a night. And it was us, Fuse Band, playing with opening up for the Heartbreakers.
Right.
And for 3 nights. And then that's right around that same time, there was a place called Mother's on 23rd Street.
Yeah, by 8th Avenue. It was
exactly.
Yeah.
Peter Crowley ran that place before he went over to Max's. And started running Max. This was cool too, but it was a very small little bar.
Yeah,
it was very, very small, but it was cool. It was the first time I met Johnny. Was in there, first time.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What was that like meeting him for the first time? I mean,
it was pretty cool because
you knew who he was.
Yeah, well, it was really kind of cool because some guy came up to the and just paid any attention to me at all. It was pretty cool. And
you there?
You know, we became friends.
No,
anyway, from Mother's, you know, the band started playing at Max's and back and forth, Max's, CBs, and that was it, man. We lived down there, and we did nothing but play. I mean, you lived where you could live. You know, you lived off the good graces
Right.
of whatever girlfriend you had at the time.
Yeah,
Would
girls in those
pay the
days seemed
bills
to be very,
and keep you
willing
in
to do
guitar
that.
strings.
They wanted to be with a musician. They knew the hazards of that and the what would be involved with that. And
I guess.
some of them just would go along with it and take care of you. It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I lived like that for years.
Rob is like that. Rob's got all these girls taken care of, right, Rob?
When I can.
and he's only a bartender. He's not even a musician.
Yeah.
Rob's got a good line of shit.
Oh my God. Oh, that's good.
Definitely.
Well, when you're in control of the alcohol, that works.
You got the cocaine or whatever. Yep, that's true.
I always found that handy. That's what I'm thinking about. I just read the kill of coronavirus is alcohol. So my theory is this: for every shot you drink, take a little and rub it on your body, and then the virus can't get back to me.
Oh man! Well, so now you were playing, like you said, you were playing Maxes, you were playing CBs. When did this all become the Knots though? Okay, because now you're playing with Nikki Fuse. When did it become the Knots?
Yeah, what happened is there's no definitive line. Things kind of blend. Fuse sort of broke up. I started playing with this other band called Lost Hats. It was a really cool band with this chick singer, and I never liked playing with chick singers because what happens is somebody in the band starts to fuck her. So then you've got like two people now you got to argue with instead of one. So but this was totally different, man. The whole scene was really, really cool. And sometime around that time, I hooked up with the singer, this guy Tommy again, and Tony came down from the Bronx. He knew him from some other band, and Tony Carter, right? And then Nikki Fuse was still playing drums, and that's when we started Knots, which was kind of like playing Fuse music because it was the same songs, just a different name.
Now,
just a different name. And it evolved.
Now, was Johnny Thunders a big fan of the Knots? Did he try to push you guys a little bit, get you some gigs and stuff like that?
I don't know, but he was around a lot. He'd come play with us, and he asked me to play with him. And what happened was this was a weird thing because must have been a sign from God that said you're not doing this because. I was kind of avoiding it, and then Peter Crowley told me, he says, "Listen, man, this is a really good opportunity for you. You got to go do this." So I said, "All right." So I went to go play with John out on 30th Street, like I've done 1,000 times, but for some reason, I was like nervous or something, and John said, "Let's go take a walk," and that was a euphemism for let's go get some drugs. And I did more than I should have, and especially around that guy, that he had the tolerance of a bull moose. I mean, nobody ever saw the tolerance like that. Yeah, I've seen it in my own eyes, man. I saw him do things that were like fucking amazing. And what happened is I didn't go, and I really believe that there was something above me. Protecting me because I would have been on the road with no restraints from people. So I would either died or got locked up or sent home, or probably I probably would have died. And I really think that's what happened. It sucked, but it was there was so many things happen in those days. I would wake up on the subway. A cop would wake me up, and I'd be in Rockaway. And I'm like, and it's the daytime. So I rode around the subway like the F train for hours out cold with a Les Paul between my legs the whole time. And I was never hurt. Never hurt. Not once. Not a scratch. And this was in the 70s, man. You remember the subways in those days were tough, man. And I would be at the end of the line where a conductor, a cop would wake me up, and I go, what the fuck? I'm in Rockaway or some other place, and try to make my way back. And I didn't realize because you could have cut my throat with me a good too. So Mark, and I was spared that. I was spared. So there's something.
Yeah, I've been there too. I've been there too. I've been there myself, Joey. I know how that is. I've woken up on the subway at the last stop and wondered how the hell I got there.
All right. Are you guys back on yet?
Yeah.
There you go. Okay. The cold keeps dropping somehow.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I don't know why. It's either it's like atmospheric.
We'll
sunspots.
We'll take care of it in the editing. Don't worry about it.
Sunspots.
Okay, so you're playing with the Knots now.
Yeah.
At some point, you were going to start recording, right?
Well, yeah, we always wanted to record, but it was always so expensive. So we had to get somebody to pay for it.
Right, but you managed to get a single out, right?
Yeah. That was like it was interesting because that was actually Fuse that did the single. Like on the cover, Nikki and Tony are on the cover, but they didn't play on that record at all.
Right, I know you guys did all the stuff yourself, right? Basically.
Yeah. We had another drummer, and I played bass and guitar.
Right.
So how that ended up like that, I don't remember. To be honest with you, I don't know.
And that was the song "Heartbreaker," right? An Action.
Heartbreaker in Action, yeah.
Now, just so everybody knows, that's been re-released on Rave Up Records. Really good Italian label. Yeah. And, you sent that to me, Joe. I really appreciate it. It's really good. The 3 tracks on there: Heartbreaker, Action, and Glad to Be Alive. On Rave Up.
That was lost for years. That last song.
Glad to Be Alive.
When my ex-wife was moving from Brooklyn to the Caribbean, she was going through her stuff and she found a bunch of stuff of mine. And some of it, one of the things was this 6-inch reel-to-reel tape. And I didn't know what was on it. And we brought it to a place that would convert it to a CD, because you have to bake it or something, some process. You just can't take it and put it on a machine. Something that's 25 years old.
They bake the tape.
The
master tape.
Yeah, they do something to it so it doesn't get destroyed. So
because if it's old, it's brittle and something.
Must be something like that. Yeah, it's got to be something like that. So I had no idea what was on it. So what was on it was Action, Heartbreaker, and Glad to Be Alive. I said, oh man, I forgot all about that song. Yeah. And that's why that last single that came out, because there's another company that put out the single too called Soul Jazz out of London. And every now and then I'll get some money from them. Very, very, a couple of bucks. And then this last batch from Italy, they were the ones that put out Glad to Be Alive, which I was kind of happy about, because that was a lost song. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah,
it's definitely this new mix on this new single is fantastic. Let me ask you something though. Now, you didn't end up playing with Johnny at that time.
No.
Okay.
No.
But
time, no.
You were still friends with him. You were still talking with him. Obviously, was.
Oh yeah.
Let me ask you, like, how did he give you like playing pointers? Did he teach you any licks?
He taught me a lot of stuff. Me a lot of stuff. Yeah, one of the most profound things he taught me was we were at a sound check at Max's one afternoon, and I couldn't get my guitar in tune, no matter what I did.
Right.
And he said to me, "Come here," and he says, "Let me show you how to do this." And I'm saying to myself, "Oh, Mr. Fucking In Tune here is going to tell me how to do this." So, yeah, right. But he said, "Take the strings off," and he showed me how to wrap the strings around the post of the machine head correctly. Right. And I said, He said, now try it. It'll be much more stable. And I've done that ever since, 40 years now.
The same process.
Same process, same thing, same thing. And, he also taught me how to play out of a twin reverb and set it the way it should set, the way it should sound. And it's funny, too, because Johnny Winter he would set his twins the same way. Treble all the way up, everything else all the way down. Very simple.
Bass all the way down, treble all the way up, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Bass, mid-range, all the way down. And you got playing on 10. And that's that. But he showed me a lot of stuff. And of course, I'd watch, too. I'd watch everybody. I mean, there was so many great guitar players.
What's amazing about Thunder is in his sloppiness, you could say, okay?
Well, yeah.
In his sloppiness, there was just pure genius in the middle of that.
Sometimes the sloppiness.
He was off. And I've been to a couple of shows where he was barely, coherent. But
me too.
When he was on, forget it.
It was unbelievable. Unbelievable.
You never heard anything like that in your life. So.
Yeah. I remember being at Max's one night, and like way up on the other end of the building from where the stage is, there were booths you could sit at, and I'm laying in one of the booths one night, and the Heartbreakers were playing, and I was just listening, and I was marveling at how good these guys were. I mean, they were great. They were fucking great, and it was like the middle of the week or something, and the place wasn't all that crowded. So I was able to lay down in a booth and not look at anybody or talk to anybody, just listen. And I was way away from the stage, so I could really hear well. And it dawned on me. I said, these guys are fucking serious, man. These guys are so good.
Out of those bands, let me just tell you, in my opinion, out of all those CBs, Max's bands, the Heartbreakers were like a level above. All right, and that's not putting anybody down. Okay, I mean, I'm a gigantic Ramones fan, but the Heartbreakers were, just a slightly different level with everybody else because of Johnny, I think.
Yeah, well, Walter too,
and Jerry.
And there was all four of those guys. Were better together than they were serious
apart. Yeah.
It's just the way it was. It's just all four of them, and I was lucky enough to play with Billy a lot before he died, because I didn't know him all that well in those days, and he was the only one that I didn't hang out with at all.
Billy Rath,
because he was gone. But I'm telling you, when they were together, it was just, when Tony C put this gig together with them, he was playing bass with Jerry and John and Walt. They played, and I got to tell you, man, they were fucking great. They were great.
Is that you? Are you talking about the when they had the memorial?
No. John was still alive, and Tony put this gig together. He had a hard time getting it together because as soon as he mentioned Johnny Thunders, people hung up on him. And shit. So he was good like that. He could book gigs, and he booked all the Waldos gigs and shit. So he managed to get booked. There's some pretty nice place. I can't remember where it was, on the west side.
Was that the Marquee?
Yeah, I think it was the Marquee.
Yeah, I was at that gig, Joey. That's the one. I didn't mean to say memorial for Johnny.
Right.
I'm just thinking that was around the time when Stiv Bators died, but that wasn't a memorial for Stiv. That was just a regular Heartbreakers reunion.
Right.
I was at that show.
Yeah. They were, and it was a big place, right? It was a sizable place.
It was on the west side in the 20s. It was a big club.
Yeah. So they had like a balcony, and I remember being up there, and I was stunned on how well they played, because Tony was telling me at rehearsals they were like kind of like feeling each other out, and he said it was really kind of divine.
Yeah.
But Shit, man. And Tony made sure too that John didn't get out of control during the day. Like he told the
Tony had
owner.
played with him. Tony had recorded with him before, though, in the studio, right? Did
Not,
he do like
not a lot, no. Once in a while,
one or two or three songs, maybe something like
maybe.
that he played bass on?
I never heard anything.
Well, I think the stuff that he did ended up on like those albums that Johnny would put out, like the new Too Much Junkie Business or something like that, or one of those things where he talks in between the songs. You ever hear those albums?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know any. I'll be honest with you. I don't know any. I don't know. I know he played live with him in the States a lot, all the time in New York, and they would play out in California and Chicago and places like that. But and Walter wasn't in the band. Luigi would play guitar, or somebody else would play guitar, and but anyway, that reunion gig was amazing. It was really good.
I was blown away by it.
Yeah. So they made sure that Johnny didn't get money during the day. That's why.
Yeah, I had to be careful with that, right?
Yeah, well, they told club guys don't give him an advance if he came by.
That was his shtick all the time. He would go for an advance, and then who knows what would happen.
Who knows? You never find him, right? He show up, maybe.
Yeah,
maybe. And if he did show up, you didn't want him to show up.
He might be a mess.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
What I wanted to get into now was your time in the Waldos a little bit. Now, just so I want to give just a little speech here about the Waldos. There was a point I felt in the late 80s, early 90s, where the Waldos were really the best club band in New York City at that time. Okay, you guys played the Continental most of the time, not every time, but a lot. Okay, which was a great club on Third Avenue in St. Mark's Place. They actually just knocked the building down last year.
I heard that.
It's gone.
Yeah.
Gone. Sad to say they're putting up another piece of shit office building, but that's where it was. And that Friday night, Saturday nights when you guys played, it was to a packed house.
Always, great.
And I had a lot of fun in those days. You guys were always,
me too,
always played well. I don't think I ever saw a night where you guys were off.
Occasionally.
Well, it didn't matter. It didn't matter because I was probably too lumped up to even know. But it was.
Well, I was told that it was always a spectacle, and that was a good compliment.
And you never knew who was going to pop up. I remember one time standing. I always stood right in front of you. Honestly.
Oh yeah.
I would take a table, or if the table wasn't there, I'd stand right there, and you were always on the the right side looking at the stage, and and I would watch you shred, and it was amazing. Okay, I remember one time, I think you were doing Too Much Junkie Business. Okay, and you were doing your little thing, your little solo, and I turn around, and you know who was standing behind me?
Who?
Iggy.
Oh, really?
Iggy Pop. Okay.
Oh.
And he's standing behind me, and he's playing air guitar like you.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. And I'm like, hey, Iggy, and he's like, hey, what's up? And because I used to see him around a little bit because he used to live on Avenue B. And
really?
In those days, I lived on 10th between 1st and A. And he used to walk around he had this like very beautiful Japanese wife at the time.
Wow, really?
And,
wow.
He would be out and about, and I'd bump into him once in a while. But, you never knew at the Continental what was going to happen. It was always a place that, somebody would come down and check out a band. And you guys were like the hottest band at the time.
Yeah.
But you had put out a single.
Right.
What was it? Was it Crazy Little Baby, I think?
Crazy Little Baby and, oh, God. Crybaby too?
Right?
It was one of those two. There was
Hold on. I actually have it right here. Hold on.
Okay.
With the green background. Yeah, Crazy Little Baby and Crybaby. And Crazy Little Baby was sung by Walter. And Cry Baby was sung by Tony.
Right.
Yeah. And actually, I'm looking at your autograph right now, Joe. You signed this for me many years ago.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, and then that was in the early '90s that came out.
Yeah.
And then you were going to be working on an album. Now I remember that album came out in '94.
Right.
Called Rent Party.
Right.
And it was very, everybody was looking forward to it. I remember talking with everybody at the Continental, and they were like all anticipating that album coming out.
It took a long time.
Go into that just a little bit. Let's where did you record that album mostly?
Out in Brooklyn. A place.
Was it Coyote?
Yeah, that was the name of the place. Thank you, because I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
that was the name of the place, Coyote. And
I think that was the place where Walter was used mostly, right? His stuff.
On the album, yeah. Well, Cry Baby, Tony wrote, and there's another song that he wrote on that. The fuck was it called? I don't remember. Crazy Stuff. That's what it was. So I think it's a minimum.
Yeah. Crazy About Your Love. Yeah.
Okay. So those two. That's cool. And the single that we did that we did out in Dave Ing's studio. And Johnny had an early influence in that because because he came out and like started producing it. And I don't know what happened. We ended up we were doing it in this guy's house, and then he got a lot of money, and then he built himself a real nice studio out in Brooklyn somewhere. And we did it there, but it was a strange studio, man. It was like it was made for rap music, and everything was electronic, and I'm surprised it came out at all because nobody knew what they were doing. It was crazy, but it worked. It worked, but and I don't know, 2 years to do it, and we had to pay for it as we went along,
of course,
so
of course.
I would think it was 2 years, something like that.
Yeah, and that album would come out in '94.
94, what is it? Oh my God.
Yeah, the album came out in '94.
Yeah.
So
God,
and
Jesus.
I still run into people, from that day that I talked to, and we'll always bring you guys up, and they say they still listen to the album. I still listen to the album. I listen to it as much as I always did.
Wow.
It's just one of those classic records. The Waldos have come out with a new album in the last year, and it's not bad.
Yeah,
it's not bad.
Yeah, I play on one song.
Yeah, that's right. I was going to ask you about that.
Part of one song,
right?
Part of one song.
Yeah. But lately you've been doing some stuff out of your studio, right? In your house.
Yeah.
Okay. Now in 2015, you came out with a solo record just called Joey Pinter.
Right.
And it's got 17 tracks on it. I'm looking at it right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what was some of the origins of this?
These songs I wrote since when I got out of prison in 1998, my February 2nd, 98, my birthday. I didn't even own a guitar because before I went away, I lost my mind completely. So everything was gone. And
wow.
Yeah, everything was gone. So what happened was I'm living out on the island in 98, about 99. And I walk into this little music store in Riverhead, out on the East End.
Yeah.
And I see this blue telly. And I go, well, let me try it. Because I was mad at everything, man. I was just so fucking pissed off at everything. Because, it was just, I was just angry. And, and so I buy this telly, which was, I was saying to myself, all right, I'm just going to buy the telly. I'm going to lose my mind because, I always looked at music like it was all or nothing. Never a hobby. It was never a hobby. So I bought this thing. I took it home, and I quickly realized that a lot of anger dissipated through that thing, and I started writing songs again. And it took me a couple of years. I had to learn how to use this recording stuff. I bought it. I went to England. When I bought it in 2002, and my first recording gear, and it was real primitive, and it didn't do a lot. But by the time I ended up in California, I had a lot of it figured out, and I had a whole bunch of songs written.
Right.
And I put a band together out there, and we were doing gigs and shit like that. And but recording time was, recording time. I didn't have any money for that nonsense, so I recorded it myself, and that's it. That's what I did. The mistakes I made. I try not to make the same mistakes again now.
Well, it was a learning process for you.
It is. And technology has come to the point now where it's become really easy for someone like me, who's not an audio engineer, who doesn't know about all this stuff that you're supposed to know about. There's a lot of help. And
everything is very user-friendly.
Really user-friendly. There's so many different presets on things like that. And what you do is you get a preset that sounds nice, and then you fuck around with it for a while to make it what you want it to sound like. And I could never do that from scratch with the outboard gear, with compressors and limiters and all that kind of crap. Yeah. I don't know how to use any of that shit. So, it became easier. And now I'm out here, and I'm fortunate where I'm sitting in a shed that's insulated, and I could play out here as much as I want. At almost stage volume. Yeah, no one bothers me. It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And
that's right. And you're in the Chicago area.
Yeah, I'm right outside of Chicago. I can see the Sears Tower, but I'm pretty close to the city. But
cool.
But there's my wife's mother's house. She's got like an acre of property, which is a lot in the suburbs. So I'm in the back, and nobody says a word, when I'm out here. And it's wonderful because it's I'm able. One of the things I couldn't do with the album I did was record live. I couldn't use a microphone and an amp because I was in an apartment. So I had to use modelers, and at the modeler I had at the time worked pretty well. I got a halfway decent guitar sound out of it. And
well, one thing I don't mean to interrupt you. I want to kind of wind this down a little bit. But I'm looking at the CD right now, the Joey Pinter CD. And I'm just looking at 17 tracks here, and I'm going to just mention a couple that I think are fucking great. Song called Be Like You. Starts the album off with that.
Yeah.
When I heard that song, I'm like, what a great song to start the album with, okay? And it just kicks off. You got like this, your vocals, which is something that you were always kind of like backing vocals when I saw you, so I never heard you.
Well, they took the microphone away from me years before. We were playing at Max's one night with the Knots, and it was Christmas.
Yeah.
And we had this English lead singer, and he said to everybody, "Happy Merry Christmas to everybody." And I was half in the bag, and I said, "Fuck Christmas, let's play." And apparently, some people took umbrage to that. Yeah, and after that, I was never allowed a microphone.
You sound like Rob at the International Ball. It's Christmas time. He's always like, "Fuck Christmas.
Fuck Christmas.
I hate Christmas."
That I remember. Yeah, it was a bad night, and and you know something? I occasionally hear from people still there,
Yeah.
and they go, "I was there that night." You know, remember? Yeah, I could have set myself on fire, and it wouldn't have made that much of a big deal.
Well, what I gotta say is that, you know, this "Be Like You" song, "Sad Girl," Orient Door, "Swamp Boogie," Isadora's Last Dance. I like that one a lot. Okay, you know, and this whole album is great.
You.
It's just like snotty ass lyrics, snotty ass vocals, Thunder's style.
Oh, blatantly stolen.
You're doing your thing.
Blatantly stolen. Admitted. Ripped them off blindly.
Okay,
blindly.
Ripped them off.
Yeah.
All right.
No problem.
Okay, but
yeah,
that's okay.
Anybody's got a problem with it, they can fuck themselves.
Hey, so guys, Mike, I got 4 minutes for you guys to wrap it up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm gonna just bring up the point now that you got some stuff on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
If anybody's interested, you got a track called "Nobody Cares About You" and a track called "Useful Idiot."
Oh yeah, what was the second one? Useful Idiot. Yeah, that's
right?
that's like the next continuation of "Be Like You." It's like it's a big fuck you to everybody.
It's the sequel to "Be Like You." Yeah,
it's like, hey, fuck you to everybody. That's
yep.
It's timely.
And on that note, we'll wind down here. And I just want to thank
thank you
for coming on. We've been trying to do this for 2 months now, and we got fucked with the coronavirus and some technical issues, but we finally got this done. And you know, I want to thank you, Joey, and we'll be in touch.
Yeah, listen, there's more songs coming out. You're the first one going to get them. So,
thank you.
Hello, people. I hope you enjoyed that interview. Mike went through a lot of trouble reaching out to Joey for this special interview on the RockerMike and Rob Present show. I hope you guys are all safe and sound. And remember, don't get drunk, get lumped up. Have a good one.